like the sound of the heater or furnace.
About 6:30, we'll call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Engel, roll call, please.
Terry Engel here, Amy Erkey
Here.
Rich Mueller
Here.
Pat Tyre
Here.
Aaron Phillips
Here.
Lauren Shanerock
Here.
and Rick Schultz is absent tonight.
Thank you. We have the agenda in front of us. Mr. Mahawk, any additions to the agenda?
No additions, but I would note that my contract was added after the fact, after the posting, but it's been posted for a number of days. So the contract is or the agenda is as presented.
All right.
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second it.
Moved by Ms. Erkey, seconded by Mr. Mueller to approve the agenda as presented. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Carried. Any public comments, Mr. Mahawk?
We do have one public comment. We have a parent, Tracy Smith, asking to present or make some comments before the board. And before that presentation, I would ask that the public comment statement be read prior to Tracy's time speaking.
Residents, parents, guardians of students of the NRHEG public schools and taxpayers of the district may request permission to speak at a regularly scheduled school board meeting on any topic that is relevant to the operation of the school district. A resident citizen wishing to address the school board shall request that register their name, address, and topic that they will be addressing on the school board public comment sign-up form available at the meeting. This form must be filled out and submitted to the superintendent at least 10 minutes prior to the start of the meeting. At the discretion of the board chair, the speaker may address the topic either during the public portion of the meeting or at the time the item is being addressed by the board. The chair will recognize each speaker. Each speaker will be called upon individually to step forward. Each speaker will give their name, address, and topic to be addressed. Each speaker will limit their remarks to 5 minutes unless an extension is granted by the chair. Citizens are expected to use proper etiquette, decorum, and request when addressing the board. Ms. Smith, please.
Good evening, guys. Actually, I just came here. There were two things I wanted to address. And the first topic was, I just wanted to ask your help with, the first issue was the driver's ed program here. As you're aware, I have a son who attends the NRHEG high school. He's completed the classroom portion of the driver's ed training. That was done in the fall of 2021. He did do the studying and the testing. He did obtain his learner's permit the July of 2021. We did come to the school and paid for the behind the wheel portion in August of 2022. I do realize fall is a crazy time and difficult time for behind the wheel with football and so forth. In hopes that the following spring he would be able to complete the behind the wheel portion. I myself have left a message for him to get on the roster. I've contacted and left a message with Sue, and I know she has left a message with the driver's ed training. I know there was some vacation time involved as well. Talon's teacher, Miss Dina Summers, had also sent an email this fall with no response. We really don't want to have any conflict. We just want Talon to have the same opportunity and treatment as all the other kids that have gone and completed the class and have been able to do the behind the wheel, but we can't even seem to get a response. So you guys would be so kind as to have a discussion and find a way to help us resolve that situation, we would much be obliged. On another note, my other concern, is just the health and well-being of the students. I know we've had some turmoil in the nurse's office as of late. From day to day, we never quite know who's gonna be there. We ourselves have had a medication mix-up on 2 separate occasions. I had to contact Rachel to discuss what happened and how to prevent further instances. I strongly feel there should be a licensed person at each location at all times. I know we have students on a variety of medications that require training and knowledge if there were any adverse reactions. Some of you may or may not be aware that we had a student that does require medical monitoring due to a medication error that had occurred at school. And that's just one of many reasons why licensed nurses are needed. So I know Rachel was on, or is on maternity leave and will be returning next week. But I know she's asked to go down 4 days a week. And we have Carrie, who's currently at 1 day a week, I believe. But I just, for the health and safety of all the kids, hope that we can make sure that we've got licensed staff at both locations. So, that's all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. The board will address the situation as it is needed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy.
Mr. Myhock, Superintendent's report.
We'll actually start with Mr. Kopetsky and Mr. Tupence with their reports. If you want to pull that one up, Sue.
Not a lot of items to share with you. There was one, probably one of the bigger ones over the holiday break. You see all the tubing and things. We had some carpet and tile removal out of the music room for some asbestos abatement, and they got that cleared out. And as of yesterday, we got the lowest level of the music area covered with carpet. So it's moving way faster than we thought. We initially kind of thought about February that would go in. End of the quarter celebration, we're having that this Friday. Our PBIS team is coming up with some great ideas and proving some positive environment and culture and things for our staff and students. And one of our last items is Elementary Conference Week. If you remember from the fall, we did some restructuring of our conference week to make it more flexible for teachers and families. And that is January 29th through February 2nd. Next one's Grant, I believe. I won't speak on his behalf. Me neither.
Yeah, Mr. Berg is supervising the activities tonight, and so he left his notes there. And Macy, as I mentioned as well, that she was not able to attend, and so we'll just move along to Jason.
Three main things I've been working on this last month, and we are still in the middle of right now. One of them is a big curriculum update. One of the things that we are doing to keep in line with the state standards is the creation of a new earth science class next fall. And so with that, we need curriculum. So right now the team is looking at, I think, about 6 different samples from different companies for that new earth science, because we're already going to be teaching earth science at the 6th grade level, and then at the 9th grade level, once we get the shift completed. And so we want to, we can't use the same book, and so we want to make sure we are covering the state standards, things like that. So that is in progress, and we will need to be purchasing that for next fall. READ Act, they said January 1st, we're gonna get you a list of curriculum. Then they said January 2nd, we're gonna get you a list of curriculum. Then they said January 10th, we're gonna give you a list of curriculum. And then they gave a very short list of curriculum. And then they said, well, we're gonna look at some other curriculum too. And they have to reapply. And so probably May is what we're looking at for curriculum on what they will pay for. The only one that they actually will pay for is a free one right now. Here's our comprehensive one that we approve, and it's a free program. So I guess
Who puts that up?
it's by Open Up is the company. It's EL Open Up.
Interestingly, that on Friday it was pretty quiet, especially around the vendor booths and whatnot. And as I walked through, the one booth that literally grabbed my attention and almost physically pulled me in, like, do you have this information? It was the READ Act, MDE and the READ Act, and just pushing this information out that Jason's reporting on, that it was definitely different than the other vendors, that they're trying to get this information out and make sure it's in our hands.
I am working on a suggested review cycle for curriculum. We've been, the last couple of years, we've kind of fell off the past posted cycle. And so I'm trying to get us caught back up and aligned with the state has now declared, they promise they're gonna change standards every 10 years, or they're gonna set out updated standards on a 10-year cycle. So I'm looking at trying to line those things up. Staff development meeting was yesterday. It was a great visit to Blooming Prairie. It was lots of talk about how that interaction between the staff was just a great part of the day. And I had a great time listening to Rick Olson. He gave a great speech about the community customer service aspect of dealing with your peers, dealing with your students as our customers, dealing with our parents, and dealing with the community in a customer perspective. And so then we're turning right back around, and we have our last one on March 4th, our last staff development day. So we're already starting those wheels rolling. And last week I met with all the teachers that are going to be involved with the MCA testing, and we worked on some ideas of kind of what they saw last year as strengths or things we can improve on. And so I'm working that together, and I'm hoping to get the finalized MCA schedule out by the end of this week so we can get rolling. Any questions?
Thank you. And I'll just add a couple comments on what Jason and Craig spoke about, that, again, we had that co-op with Blooming Prairie schools and teachers, and as Jason stated, we had a guest presentation on the customer service part, but with Jason and Craig and Grant and the Blooming Prairie administrative team or staff, that we had time where our grade-like teachers met with their grade-like teachers, our subject content area people met with their secondary content subject matters, and again, I thought it was a pretty successful morning. They provided a nice continental breakfast or breakfast for us as well, and set up that collaboration between the two. And Chris, the superintendent, and I were talking that we'd like to continue that in the future. So it was a great kickoff. So and one additional comment on Craig's comment about the music room being done. You know, kudos to Scott Schuler, our Buildings and Grounds Director, for kind of orchestrating that and getting that together and working with Floors for You to get the carpet in and a lot quicker than we thought. Carla was instrumental too on just the financial part and pulling that together. So, and most importantly, Mr. Kopetsky and the elementary staff for their flexibility and moving things and getting things around and getting people to the right places and getting people into the building on that morning and all those sorts of things. So it was a little hectic and chaotic, but it was for a good purpose too, to get that taken care Two other things quickly. We do have a Site Logic meeting coming up. That's gonna start gearing up more. That I believe it's in a couple weeks, maybe the first week of February. That kind of a pre-construction meeting, and that meeting we really don't need Carla, myself, Scott present at. We may be present at it, but it's more about the construction managers kind of getting together for the first time and walking through some of the requirements and kind of the checklist that they have to do. So, and then finally, just a thank you to you all for taking the time from your personal life and family and attending the MSBA. That the weather was the weather and the sessions were as kind of advertised and whatnot, but thank you for that commitment and dedication to our district and attending that. So, that is my report.
Thank you, Mr. Myatt. Next on the agenda, have board member comments. Any comments? Then the next item on the agenda is our next regularly scheduled meeting will be Tuesday, February 20th at the Secondary School Media Center at 6:30 p.m. With that, we have the consent agenda items. Mr. Myhock, please.
Yes, if you'll allow me to read our statement here, the board has been furnished with background information or materials on items included in the consent agenda, or we have discussed it at previous meetings. These items will be acted upon with one vote without discussion. If a board member wants to discuss any item, we'll pull it out of the consent agenda and vote on it separately. But before we do have that vote, let's take the time to recognize our donations made to the district this past month. We had a $1,000 donation from Midwest Bank for the choir robes and band uniforms. Poppy Company made a $100 donation for our DECA Club. O'Brien Tax and Accounting out of Waseca made a $500 contribution for our DECA Club. And the Arcadian Bank had a $150 donation for the DECA Club. The next, or the other donations that were made were all for our cheer teams, a national competition. Finley's Wings at Work donated $1,500. Morehouse Motorsports donated $1,000. Ellendale Fire Department donated $2,000. The Geneva Fire Relief Association donated $250. Brandon and Joni Wayne donated $250. Lerber's LLC donated $50. The Heartland Firefighters Relief Group donated $500. Van Hall Trucking donated $300. Morium Drainage donated $100. Dag Retooling made a $100 donation. And Maika, the third LLC, I believe it's pronounced, made a $1,500 donation. Dan and Joanne Phillips made a $100 donation. And before we conclude that donation part, we did have a correction, or at least we'll recognize a correction from last month or December, where there was a $1,500 donation from Cargill. It was listed as the donation from Lonnie Corman, and Lonnie Corman was the person that signed the check, but it does come from Cargill, so we'll make note of that as well. And with those donations recognized, I'd ask the board to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Moved by Ms. Erke, seconded by Ms. Tyre, to approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Carried. Recommended actions. Mr. Myhock, please.
Yeah, I did state that this would be a quick meeting. I won't necessarily follow up with my promise that we'll make up the time in February or March with longer meetings, but the two agenda items that we have today, the first one being my contract for the 24 through 27 school years. And so we do have a tentative agreement between myself and the negotiating committee. Rick and Terry and I work together on the details presented in the contract. So on behalf of the board negotiating team, I'm asking to the board to approve my proposed contract for 2024 through 2027.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I second.
Moved by Mr. Miller, seconded by Ms. Engel to approve Superintendent Mike Myhock's contract for 24 through 27. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Carried.
Our last action item then is the pay equity implementation report. And again, there's a comment here or some statement here that needs to be read, and I'll read that and then ask for the approval. So the board will be asked to approve the pay equity implementation report that is approved every 3 years. The board last approved the report in 2021. Pay equity is designed to address the problem of a wage structure in which there is one pay pattern for jobs performed mostly by men and another pay pattern for jobs performed mostly by women. Pay equity preliminarily affects pay structure, not pay level or pay method. An employer can still have a pay level that is different from other employers. The school district can still pay more to recognize individual seniority and performance. One way to do this is to establish salary ranges for each job class and reward employees for seniority, performance, or both by moving them through the salary range. The concept of pay equity includes compensation programs having 3 parts, including the pay level, and that's the level an employer pays in comparison to other employers. Pay structure, and that's the relationship among jobs in an organization. And pay method is the set of policies and procedures for paying individual employees. With that explanation, we would ask that the board approve our pay equity implementation report that was included in your agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the pay equity implementation report.
It's been moved by Ms. Erke, seconded by Mr. Phillips, that we adopt the pay equity implementation report. Is there any more discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Carried. The last item I have on the agenda is adjournment.
So moved.
Been moved by Mr. Mueller, seconded by Ms. Erke to adjourn. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Carried. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
I want to connect you with him. It was a big